Red vs. Blue Season 18 Episode 6 Shattered has officially released, so let me break it down for you. So let's just get this out of the way immediately. Tucker's alive. Yep, I figured so. Many people were asking last episode why I wasn't up in arms and freaking out about the fact that they had just killed Tucker like that, and it was because I was like 99% sure that wasn't the case. It's like when a parent says, "I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed." Those were my feelings to seeing Tucker's death. I knew you wouldn't kill him like that, but I'm disappointed that you stooped to this level of trying to evoke emotion out of the audience. I'm not expecting Shakespeare over here, but at least have some dignity. Like I said, it was a lose-lose situation to involve Tucker like this. Also, FaZe turns on his sword. Oh, they don't know how the rules of the sword work. Only Tucker can turn on his sword. It's bound to him. That's like the one rule it plays by. It can only have one master. And listen, I know what you're gonna say. Tucker flatlined, so he technically died, meaning FaZe is now the rightful wielder of the sword. That is stupid. So they brought him back just to kill him briefly, so FaZe can get the sword to unlock a door. Very roundabout way that they didn't need to do. Presuming they knew the rules of the sword and that this was all intentional and exactly what they were going for, this leaves two main options with a third and arguably more interesting outcome. Either A, Tucker loses his sword forever, so there goes like 15 years worth of that, or B, FaZe has to die for Tucker to get his sword back, which I know for most of you is just like water off a duck's back, so it immediately just kills off FaZe. Or C, East becomes the new FaZe and takes over, making it an entirely new person, thus relinquishing the sword over once more. If that's the outcome, then I'll believe they knew the rules of the sword. All just a convoluted game of hot potato, which is just in regards to who has Tucker's sword. Things became way too complicated for no reason at all. Sure, it can be an interesting concept. It'd be like if Doc and O'Malley had a sword, would both personalities be able to wield it, or just one? I don't really care that much because it was completely unnecessary. Involving Tucker this season has been nothing but downsides and problems, and it's only been 2 episodes. I have no idea why they did it, aside from nostalgia that might bring back older viewers who weren't interested in a new cast, despite constantly saying on social media that this is entirely new. Anyway, back with Shatter Squad, Raymond is upset, and West is upset. West more justifiably so. And we get some new info about some characters' backstory and motivation, which isn't great. It starts off pretty interesting, with a group known as Glass. They were akin to Project Freelancer, a separate organization working to help put an end to the Great War. But unlike Project Freelancer, they worked to help through espionage and science. It was here the original Shatter Squad, never decided to change the name apparently, was formed, Zero being the top operative during that time. That's about where the good and intriguing stops with there, as from here on, it doesn't make any sense. So before Zero could do anything as a part of Shatter Squad, the war ended. Job well done, mission accomplished. But because of this, Zero felt betrayed. Ah, dang, Master Chief saving the galaxy once again? Zero wanted to do that. So he set off on a journey to prove just how powerful and useful he can be, or something like that. That's his motivation. As for FaZe, she was dying as a kid with a disease, and so West had the scientists experiment on her. This is where she got her super speed, but as she grew up, she had enough of it and then ran away. To Zero? Dude, this doesn't make any sense. Zero and FaZe's motivations make no sense at all. FaZe doesn't even have a motivation. She just ran away to Zero, who the show has established zero connection to her with. I think it would have been way more interesting to see the Glass era of history instead of this one. That way they couldn't bring in the Reds and the Blues. At best, they could cross paths with some of the freelancers. But even so, because we never get to see any part of it, it just sounds so generic. Like if Project Freelancer were the same way and we only ever heard speak of it, it too would sound incredibly generic and lame. But it's because we got to experience it with the characters and watch their arcs develop that it became interesting and much more than just its concept. Just hearing about Glass isn't that interesting, and considering how short this season is, we're not going to get anything meaningful from it apart from probably just brief flashbacks. It's kinda weird how giving two characters a motivation made them make less sense than if they didn't have one at all. Anyway, Zero calls Shatter Squad just to taunt, I guess, that totally seems within his character, and one is fired up to fight them. Everyone else, though, isn't and says they can't win because they've been watching what's been happening to them. And insert motivational speech no jutsu, as one says they can win. And that's enough to convince everyone, yeah, we can win now. Before, when we just got our asses handed to us and we didn't even manage to land a single blow, yeah, in between that time when we did nothing, I think we've learned enough to turn the tide to our side. No training, no strategies, no weak spots to exploit unlocked, just belief and a motivational speech. That's all anyone ever needs in a time like this. Yeah, I think this season has really gotten worse as it's gone on. The jokes this episode just didn't land at all. Not a single one I thought was an appropriate time for, or just didn't fit the mood or delivery. Lol 69 joke. The methods of trying to get us invested aren't working. They're doing the age-old nostalgia for the sake of nostalgia and fucking it up in the meantime shtick. I know some people who work on this show are saying things like, we're trying something new and original. If it's not for you, don't watch it, or whatever. Things along those lines. You've heard it 1,000 times before. But it's like, you're not though. This isn't new or original. This is Red vs. Blue. This is season 18. If this were new and original, you wouldn't have used the brand of Red vs. Blue. You wouldn't have brought in Wash, Carolina, and Tucker. You would have done your own unique show or startup. The fans who have made it to season 18 are not slightly invested. They are judging it comparatively to what Red vs. Blue is, and this, yes, while the action is very good, everything else has become subpar at best, relying on cheap storytelling tactics. Something Red vs. Blue has not always in recent years, but in its height of popularity, cleverly avoided and never fell into. But with the new amateur writers, that's exactly what's happening. This episode was kind of just disappointing all around. Like I said, I'm not mad, just disappointed.